right, kids. What time is it?
Hey, it's Edson with GeekTime TV. The NFL schedule for the coming season came out about a month ago. I meant to take a look at it like I always do. The NFL has made this, even the schedule release, into a big event like they do with a lot of different milestones of the NFL, even during the off season. But it didn't always used to be that way. When I was much younger, back before, about 30, 40 years ago, before even the internet came out, they would release the schedule in print paper and through newspaper and maybe a little bit of commentary, but that was it. But now to this year or last couple of years, it's like you get the the 1 week warning. Hey, in 1 week we're getting the schedule out, and another warning. 2 days we're getting the schedule out. A big anticipation. Now, back when I was much younger, I wish they did make an event because I actually made a big event out of it. I eagerly anticipated. I believe it was the newspaper was USA Today. They would every year they would come out with a full page, just like you see here on the screen, full page of week by week NFL schedule. I eagerly awaited for it every year because I always wanted to look at it. It's like, oh, who's playing what in weeks, this and that, and I wanted to just see what the best game of that week would be, and I would be like stare at it for like hours at a time, wondering which games would be really good, which would not be so good. And for a long time after after USA Today stopped doing that, I was looking around to get an equivalent of it. I finally found it on this website. We could put the link for this website down below there, where anybody can find it, and it prints out like an 8.5 by 11 sheet. Very handy to have around. You just look at it week to week, and it's like I love it. Just looking at the different combinations. Of course, back then, when I was much younger, it was 90% of the games were on Sunday basically, and you had the Monday nights, and that was it. So now, it's evolved into almost every day of the week that there's like games on Thursday nights and Saturdays, and this year we're even gonna have it on other days of the week, as as I'm gonna be talking about. But that was one of the things I always look forward to, the release of the schedule, and it was a big event for me way back when. Now it's a big event. The NFL itself has made a big event, mostly because you have the internet, and everybody goes out there and just talks about it all. You got commentary on this and various podcasts and broadcasts. But so I wanted to take a look at this. Here it is in the full schedule. Obviously, I'm not going to go through every single one of these, but I wanted to just point out a couple of things. If I could just blow it up a little bit here, make it more. So right off the bat, you get the first game is on Thursday of the first week, and of course it's always, well, not nowadays. It's always the Super Bowl winners. The Super Bowl winner from last year is going to be in it, and they have Baltimore at Kansas City. It's a rematch of that championship game. So hopefully this looks like it's going to be a good game. And this year they're actually going to have Thursday and Friday, and it's going to be a game in Brazil, São Paulo, Brazil, Green Bay versus Philadelphia. That looks like to be a pretty good two playoffs teams from last year, and it ends up with Rams at Detroit, again, two playoff teams from last year, and Jets at San Francisco. Now the Jets were not a playoff team from last year, but I did notice in this schedule for this year that the NFL has targeted both the Jets, well, other than Kansas City. Kansas City is going to get a lot of primetime games. But other than Kansas City, they targeted both the Jets and Detroit to, I believe, the second most primetime games. And of course, Detroit's just been improving so much the last couple of years, and was way into the playoffs. So I could see that they're a much improved team, and look like they're going to continue to be much improved. The Jets, I believe, of course, well, it's kind of obvious that the NFL is putting a lot of their eggs in one basket in terms of Aaron Rodgers being there. Hopefully, that will. You won't have a repeat of last year where he basically is out for the season in the first week, and that would be very not good for the schedule because, like I said, the Jets are in prime time a lot. I believe at least it's 6 times, and I did notice that the NFL put them earlier in the year. In the first half of the year, most of the primetime games are the first half of the year, which is kind of smart because as the season goes by, there's more of a chance of being of injury. Of course, injury can happen at any time. So if it happens during the preseason or the week one like last year, they're gonna find themselves wanting to swap out a lot of those primetime games. So they are putting a lot of emphasis on Aaron Rodgers. Playing well and playing throughout the season. Let's see. We have week 2. Week 3, I notice here, New England at Jets. The only reason I put in this game on a Thursday, that's a Thursday night game, is that what a switcheroo has happened than previous seasons, where New England was always the team with the focus on it. Now this year, this is the only primetime game that New England has, as opposed to the Jets, which has many primetime games. And it's obviously a big. You turn the whole thing upside down because New England, Belichick's no longer there. No, the NFL doesn't know how good New England's going to be. They didn't play they weren't that good of a team last year, so basically they're just going to have them in one primetime game. Now, traditionally, a New England Jets game, most people would just like, oh yeah, New England's going to just blow them out or whatever. But now things have turned, and New England, most likely by most analysts, are gonna be projected to be coming last in that division, which is a big change from their dynasty years. If we go to, let's see, week 4. The other thing I want to bring up, starting in week 3, they're going to have 2 Monday night games: Jacksonville at Buffalo, Washington at Cincinnati. And that's this year they're going to have multiple Monday night games with 2 games, like week 3 and week 4. They're going to have Tennessee and Miami, and Seattle, Detroit. So 2 Monday night games, both week 3 and week 4. I'm glad they're not going to do it in week 1 because there's already enough going on in week 1 with a Thursday and a Friday. So they reserve that for week 3 and week 4. And they're going to have more too later on in the schedule here. Week 5 is the first week that the NFL has given them it's the first week with bye teams here: Detroit, Chargers, Philadelphia, and Tennessee. And it's also the first week where the NFL is going to give themselves the permission to swap out games in terms of prime time. So like I said, if a team turns out to be terrible that they have on prime time, they have a significant injury like the Jets did last year, they're giving themselves that leeway to substitute in other games. But also in week 5 we have the first international game here: New York Jets at Minnesota. It's not at Minnesota, but New York Jets versus Minnesota at the UK. So that's the first international game here as well. Week 6. You have Jacksonville, Chicago, and Jacksonville has always been kind of like the NFL's pick as the international team. They always have more than one game overseas, and this year is no different. So Jacksonville versus Chicago in week 6 at the UK, and also New England versus Jacksonville at on week 7. Of course, that does mean that they lose home games, but it looks from what I've seen in the recent years, Jacksonville is well suited to play internationally because they always seem to do well in those games. Here's another week 7. You have the third such week where Monday night you have 2 games: Baltimore at Tampa Bay, Chargers at Arizona. It'll be interesting to see on these where you have multiple games on Monday night whether the ratings will be good for both games, because they do overlap each other. It's not like you have a 1 o'clock and a 4 o'clock or anything. It's like they're both at night, and they by the time the second game starts, you're going to have the first game still going to be maybe not even halfway done. So it'll be interesting how those ratings are go. Let's see. Then we have week 8. See, there's a Dallas-San Francisco game that might be interesting. Let's see. Let's go pull it up here. Week 9, that's Thursday, Halloween. Looks like Houston at Jets, another primetime game for the Jets. Week 10. Oh, so week 10, opposite of what the Jets in Detroit are going to enjoy, we have the NFL has decided that they're going to have Carolina be the one team without a primetime game. This is not a primetime game. This is actually an international game over in Germany. I guess this is kind of like their one thing that they're going to throw at them. You have an international game because Carolina is the one team, just one team, that will not have any kind of primetime games. I'm not sure. Well, obviously it's because they were a terrible team, not just last year, but the recent years. But why they only targeted them as being the only one without a primetime game? They could have just thrown a Thursday night at them just to have one, or pick multiple teams not to have primetime. But well, Carolina seems to be the only one, and here they are and going to Germany, and sort of giving them kind of like a specialty game. But let's see. Then we have more. Week 11. Week 12. So week 12, I want to point out Monday. I'm sure some media person's going to come up with something clever, or what they think is something clever, like calling this Monday night game the Harbaugh or something like that, because you have the 2 Harbaugh brothers as the coaches. Of course, Baltimore has had John Harbaugh as their coach for quite a while, their head coach for quite a while, and this year his brother Jim Harbaugh is making a return to the NFL from college football and being the coach of the Chargers, so that this will be an interesting game. I knew they were going to make this in a primetime game, Baltimore at Chargers, because they have the 2 brothers. Putting aside that the head coaches are related, I'm hoping that this will be a good game. This should be a good Baltimore at the Chargers should be a good game to watch on Monday night. Let's see. Then we have week 13, and of course we have the traditional Thanksgiving games. Detroit plays the early game. The Cowboys play the late afternoon game, and then you have the. We never used to be this way for the longest time. It just used to be a Detroit and a Dallas game. Now they're adding a nighttime game, and this year's Miami at Green Bay. Hopefully that's a good game. We're also going to have a Black Friday game, Las Vegas at Kansas City. That's at 3 o'clock on Black Friday, and then week 14. And finally, rounding out the end of the end of the season, we have week 15. The last, they go deep into the season to pick their last game, the last week, which has 2 Monday night games as well. So in December, Chicago at Minnesota and Atlanta at Las Vegas. Then on week 16. I want to focus on these 4 teams here playing on a Saturday: Houston at Kansas City and Pittsburgh at Baltimore. Which I think should be really good games, unless one of these teams suffers significant injury. These should be really good games. But remember these 4 teams that are playing this Saturday, because they'll be playing in another combination soon. Pittsburgh at Baltimore. I'm so glad that they're in the same division, because every season we always get two Pittsburgh Baltimore games, and they never fail to entertain. It seems like no matter what type of season Pittsburgh is having, whether it's really bad or really good, and the same thing with Baltimore. When they play each other, records get thrown out, because that game always seems to be very, very close, right down to the wire, whether it's low scoring or high scoring. So I like that that matchup is here on a Saturday to boot. And then, for the first time, the NFL has got game schedule on December 25th, Christmas Day. Now, we've talked about this being games in a previous video, being games that are going to be, not only are they going to be at Christmas, they're going to be streamed on Netflix. And if you see this, it's the same four teams that were here previous Saturday on Week 16 are now both playing on Wednesday. And of course, so that in a different combination, they're not playing each other twice in a row. Now it'll be Kansas City at Pittsburgh and Baltimore at Houston, which also should be good games, especially this Baltimore at Houston game. It'll be the first time playing Wednesday, or a scheduled game playing Wednesday, and Christmas streamed on Netflix. And with this, the NFL has kind of made Kansas City, they made Kansas City have games on every day of the week except for Tuesday. You'd think that they would figure out some way of having them play on Tuesday, but they just couldn't make it happen. But because of Christmas landing on Wednesday, here they are playing on a Wednesday. So they're playing. Obviously, they play Sunday games. They have Monday night games. They have a Saturday game. You saw in Week 16 they have a Saturday game. They have the Black Friday game, the day after Thanksgiving. So that's Friday. And then they have a Thursday night game, maybe more than one Thursday night game. And now they have a Wednesday game. So every day of the week except for Tuesday, Kansas City is going to play. They're really going to ride high on their, and of course they won the last two Super Bowls. So I mean, if any team is going to be picked to play this many primetime games and this many days of the week, obviously it would be them. And hopefully this will not be marred by any kind of like significant injury. But you never know. It's a team. A team doesn't just keep playing at a high level, forever. So who knows? Kansas City may have a down year, and some of these games may not be what the NFL hopes for. So, but I can totally understand them wanting Kansas City to play in a lot of those primetime games. This week, Week 17 is going to be, it's like you got Wednesday games, Thursday games, Saturday, a bunch of Saturday games, and then Sunday, and of course Monday. And finally, we have the last week, Week 18, and that's has been now traditionally for quite a few years. The NFL has made all these games on the last week, division games, in the hopes of catching some that are like playing for the division or playing for playoff seeding and elimination games. And they're leaving themselves. They have the matchups here, but they're leaving themselves open to see which teams are doing well and which matchups are going to be really good for these Saturday games and the Sunday night game. So that would be, and that's like the last week. Then we have this schedule that comes in this nice handy dandy one page. Also has the wild card schedule and divisional schedule, the conference schedule, and of course Super Bowl. The Super Bowl will be on Sunday, February 9th, 2025 this year. I believe it's on Fox. And and that reminds me, I missed something on the schedule that I wanted to point out. Let's see. Just to see, there's also a little bit of information here about these being Eastern times. And like I said, flexible scheduling is in effect during weeks 5 to 17. I believe in the first 5 weeks or so, they're only going to be able to flex schedule one game, but later on they're going to allow themselves to do a bunch more than one per week. The one thing I did want to point out that I failed to point out, we'll go back all the way back to week 1. This game, let's see, this game here. It's not a primetime game, but this Dallas-Cleveland game, just wanted to point out that that will be the first game that that Tom Brady will be in the booth calling these games. He starts this year, I believe, working for Fox in the booth, and they picked Dallas at Cleveland at 4:25 in the afternoon, and that'll be the first game that you get to see how well he does. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of interest to see see how well he brings talent into the booth. I mean, obviously his football knowledge is going to be extensive, better than almost everyone else. But can he kind of relay that in a way that's entertaining and keep the game flowing and things like that? Things that people like Troy Aikman and a bunch of other former football players have now brought into the booth, and there'll be a spotlight for sure on Tom Brady for when he announces this year, and we'll probably just put to bed any kind of like speculation about him coming back to football, since he's now going to be calling games in the booth. So we'll see, and that's it. Not much more. I mean. The thing about it is that I always used to get, like I said, I always just get excited about the release of the schedule and seeing all these, checking to see which games are going to be good, which games not so good. But you never really know. It's like every year, without fail, a bunch of teams that made the playoffs last year were not going to make it this year. A bunch of teams that were good last year are not going to be good this year. So a lot of these games that they do try very hard to make a lot of to schedule a lot of primetime games to being like very close games or very competitive games, but inevitably there's always going to be some that are not going to work out because teams are just not going to be the same as last year, and there's going to be quite a few teams that will be a big surprise, a lot like Houston last year. Not a lot of people we're thinking that they're going to be good, but it's with the emergence of Stroud as their quarterback, they're very competitive. So there's going to be a lot of those teams too that you might not see coming. So there you have it. I probably shouldn't be spending this much time looking at a schedule at this point in June, but time does go by fast, and in about less than 2 months. The preseason games will start, so the new football season will be here before you know it. So, and there's the schedule, and if you like the schedule in this way, then this is a good place to go to kind of like have this handy dandy way of all in one sheet here. Like I love it. Good reference to just go every week to just see who's playing who. Okay, that's it for me. Hope there's a lot of you out there who are excited about the new NFL football season like I am, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for watching GeekTime TV. If you like this video, please subscribe to the channel. If you subscribe, make sure to check the little bell icon anytime someone from our network drops new content here. Want some GeekTime swag? Check out the merchandise available in the GeekTime TV store, linked in the channel description below. Share GeekTime TV with friends, and as always, thank you for your support. We'll see you soon.